this on with Miami Dolphins.
The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins touchdown.
Throwing deep upfield on the near side, man open, touchdown! Looking deep, he's got a man! Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep! He's got it for the touchdown! He's in! Touchdown! Hey, tell me if you want to see it.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. And we are back here for another one, starting off with a super chat from the homie King Z305. He says, love the Phinside fam. About to use this for motivation to smoke 385 on the bench. Bro, go do it. Go do it, my guy. But just don't be one of those guys, you know. Don't be one of one, two. Don't be one of those guys, though, you know. Be calm, cool, and collected. And real G's move in silence like lasagna, man. So do your work. Get it done. You don't know what time it is, King Z0305, man. Believe it or not, I used to be an animal back when, not only when I played ball, but even before COVID hit, when I used to go to CrossFit and stuff. I was an absolute animal at that stuff. So, hey, man, have a good workout. Be safe. Get healthy and get better. And by get healthy, I don't mean like, you know, recover, but continue to get healthy. Stay healthy. Do it, King Z305. Appreciate you, homie. It's a good dude right there, too. Outside of everything, King Z's always been a legit guy with me straight up. So, and you know I appreciate people like that in this community because, let's be honest, they're few and far between. Woo! All right. How's everyone doing? It is Monday. It is Easter Monday. I hope everyone had a fantastic Monday. If you are a Patreon, you got a little bit of a lunchtime snack with Reason. My episode of 3 Takes, I dropped it at lunch. Recorded it last night, dropped it at lunch. Go check that out. I do talk about defensive tackle. And I actually give, because I've heard a couple more names privately. So I give the 2 names I've heard privately, as well as I recap the 3 names I had already previously heard over the last couple weeks. So I give a total of 5 names I'm hearing at defensive tackle, and I was told it's a priority, and it's something that I've been talking to you guys for 2.5 weeks on this channel about defensive tackle. And I also talk about whether I think they'll take it at 51 or 84. Patreon.com/Phinside The NFL if you want to become a Patreon. Because you know what? Because I do the 3 Takes show, I don't always just drop my nuggets in articles now or little pieces I write up. Now I will drop nuggets sometimes in 3 Takes. So I mix it up. You got to watch the 3 Takes to get nuggets. And obviously, it's easy when the new posts come with the nuggets. That's right in front of your face to read. So also, those posts, the write-ups I do, they're available for channel members. If you're a member of the channel, just hit that join button next to subscribe. Also, I wanted to shout out, I appreciate everyone who donated and who, who's donated over the course of this channel. But I also want to thank everyone who donated during the big board videos. It's very much appreciated. And speaking of which, I got a late super what is it? What do they call them? I don't know. Super thanks donations, I think they're called now. Super thanks. I got a super thanks from Topher last night for $9.99, and so I wanted to shout Topher out and let him know that I appreciate you, homie. Thank you for sending that through. Big ups, man. Thank you for the $9.99 donation. I appreciate that. And listen, I say this all the time. If you can't donate, that's fine. Smash the like button. It's a huge thing. Help me out with my friend Al Algorithm. Just smash that like button. You know what I mean? So tonight, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Bleacher Report had an interesting article, and the light bulb went on last night for me. So we're going to talk about that. Is Tua a legitimate dark horse to win? Well, not to win. Well, he's a legitimate dark horse to win the MVP, but is he a legitimate dark horse to lead the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns? I did a little, I had to jump in and do a little bit of math. Not a ton, but we did a little bit of math just to correlate some things, and we're going to go over that, and we're going to talk in depth. We're going to read the article to you, but we're going to go outside of that article and in-depth analysis on that a little bit. On top of that, Barry Jackson put out an article. Are the Dolphins actively trying to acquire more draft picks? And this is something I have talked about over the last couple weeks, about trading back for 51 if that draft board doesn't fall the way you like. What have I said? It makes sense to go try and get a fourth. Then in the second, third, and fourth, we can address defensive tackle, tight end, offensive tackle. And if one of those positions doesn't fall the way you like, you can replace that with running back. All right? So that's something, and Barry Jackson addressed it today, so we'll talk about that. On top of that, man, we just got a couple things to go over. We're going to talk about which game should be in prime time for the Dolphins this season. There was an article from the Miami Herald a couple of days ago just going over what some analysts are having us take at 51 and 84, so go over that. Rumor about a draft prospect who I will be watching tonight, so if you're on Twitter, expect some highlights to come out on Twitter tomorrow. A draft prospect from a school that produced my running back man crush that the Dolphins missed out on drafting last year that they wanted to. Also, man, we got to continue to bury those people who said Skylar QB1 and Teddy's better than Tua. We got to just continue to bury those clowns. So we will tonight. That's for sure. We will continue to bury. You already know what time it is. So shout out to all of y'all in the chat. Already about 100. We're just under 200 of you guys already. Again, please do me the solid. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. We are just under 40 away from 11,100, I believe. So let's keep going. Ty Jenkins has a question in the chat. Let's bring you up, Ty. And he says, Reason, have you heard anything on DJ Fluker? I've actually addressed this before. When people were wilding out about them looking, about DJ Fluker at the Alabama Pro Day, what was I saying? I heard, Cameron Latu, the tight end, Tyler Steen, Jamar Gibbs. Well, not Gibbs, but they've already done their homework. But Tyler, when we're talking about tackles, I heard Tyler Steen was someone they had their eyes on more than DJ Fluker. All right. Time for Toxic Reason. No, not today. I don't really got anything to say, man. There's really nothing for me to really let loose about. I'm good, man. What about Reisner or Fleming? I think they're going to let the draft play out. I've said this to you guys. This is why I think they're sitting on their hands at tackle. This is why I think they've told a guy like Brandon Shell stay pat. It's because they're waiting to see how this draft pans out. And the UDFA class, too. I won't just say just the draft. So, right? We gotta keep that a buck. We'll see how it goes. What's up, Austin? How you doing, brother? All right. So we got a bit to talk about tonight. I see people talking about if the Jets and Rodgers, because it hasn't done. Imagine if you're a Jets fan right now, you'd be losing your mind with anxiety. Now, apparently, was it Joe Douglas? I think Joe Douglas someone said today that they're, I forget who it was, that they believe it's going to get done. There's no rush. What's going on, ball game? Oh, bury the fools. Oh, Thompson. Oh, yeah. Robert, my bad. I apologize. Maybe Toxic Reason does come out when we get to that point. But I do have a chart we'll be going over here in a little bit that I will be burying all the people that said Skylar Thompson QB1. They're going to get destroyed. They're going to look like absolute fools. Hey, that's toxic. That's toxic. See, here's my thing. Thank you, Darkest Night. Listen, I've embraced the whole, hashtag Toxic Reason thing because it's a funny to me. But am I really toxic or am I just more real than these people, right? You got everyone out here want to play kumbaya with their crappy takes and, with their no knowledge having asses. They want to play kumbaya out here. All right? Listen, why do I got to play kumbaya? I'll play kumbaya with the people I respect. Respect is earned. It is not given. That is how I was raised. That is where I come from. All right? If I don't like you, if I don't like your takes, if I don't like what you think about football, how am I going to respect you? How am I going to respect you? Come on, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real here, all right? Let's keep it real. Let's stop holding hands and playing kumbaya, and let's be real here. Listen, I get along with the people that keep it a buck with me. Listen, there's tons of people who I think, are in the casual level of thinking that I get along with and consider friends in this community. So I don't judge people based on that. When I start judging people based on that is when people who think like that start sticking their nose up at people, start talking down to people, start acting around here like they know what they're talking about and start trying to convince people of the false information that they think they're right about. That's when I have an issue, and I've already explained this before. You know why? Because Dolphin fans are my family. I don't want my family lied to and misled by people who don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, I take issue with that, and I always will take issue with that. Period. Listen, people want to call me go look at everything I've ever done or addressed on this channel. I've never once been the aggressor. Never once. I've always either been called out or addressed something in this community that needed to be addressed. I've never come up here in front of my 11,000 subscribers and just started piping off on people for the sake of piping off on people. Never once. I've either been called out, caught someone doing something or saying something about me, right? I.e. text messages of people plotting on me, right? It's always been something that's had to be addressed in this community or someone who's said something about me. I never once go out of my way. Let's remember that one too. And calling out people for their crappy takes and misleading our fan base, that falls under that too, okay? Because if everyone else is going to be afraid to do it, I ain't afraid of no one in this community, let alone in real life, okay? I am on here what I am in real life. I will bring this to your doorstep. I don't care who you are. So, listen, all these other people, they want to be fake and they just want to play kumbaya for the cameras. That's fine. Not me. I'm going to keep it $110 every time I'm up here. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's fine for me. Right? I'm cool with that. Trust me, I'll make it. So, that's it. So, I had to address that. Listen, I play on the toxic reason thing, but let's be real here. There's a reason why I stick to my Twitter name, @the_real_reason. I'm going to tell you this right now. In this community, ain't no one realer than me. Period. Okay? These people just don't like it that someone's out here willing to always keep it a buck. And because I don't cuff myself, because I don't cuff my takes, because I don't cuff my opinions, because I don't hold back. Listen, you want to judge me for being realer than you and keeping it a buck more than you? Knock yourselves out. At the end of the day, that's a you problem. That ain't a me problem. So that's all I got to say about that. I've been meaning to lay that one out. So, thank you for bringing that up, Robert Thompson. And yeah, I mean, the people who were yelling Skylar QB1, they ain't going to like that segment later, but cope. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say to you. Cope. Exactly, ball game. We don't pander. The ball game's the same way. Ballgame will come up here and he will either address things in the community, or if people are talking nonsense about me or talking nonsense in general, he has no problem addressing it. So what? Ballgame's an aggressor because he keeps it real? And because we look out for this fan base? Nah, man. You can't twist us into something like that. I'm sorry. No. Don't be mad. Do not be mad that Phinside the NFL is where the alphas roam. All right? We don't play that beta stuff over here. We don't. Never have. Don't in real life. Don't on the internet. Don't matter what platform on the internet. Don't play that. We don't play that. In the great words of one of the great Wayne's brothers from In Living Color, homie, don't play that. All right? Period. So, listen, I'm going to keep being me. I'm going to keep doing me. Ballgame going to keep being him, keep doing him. Goes for Neil, goes for Richmond. And it's going to keep speaking through the content, man. So, Martin, too. Shout out to Martin, if you're watching, brother. My bad on... I hit him up because, I don't know if you guys saw, but Will Levis scored real high on that cognition test. I don't know. There's a cognitive test. Josh Allen, it's for processing and such that's been created. It's a test where people don't really talk about the scores a lot. And some of the highest to do it were like Burrow was one of the higher ones. Josh Allen was one of the higher ones. But in this class, Bryce Young put up a really high number on the cognitive test. And now it's come out that Will Levis has put up almost just as high of a number. So what that tells you is how these guys' ability, how quickly they process and their ability to process at the next level. These cognitive tests try to help relay that to NFL teams. And word came out that Willis. So I hit Martin up. I said, my guy, with the cognitive test. So, hey, man, everyone knows I've been a believer of Will Levis, for quite some time, well before draft season. Will Levis, since last offseason, it's all throughout the season. I'm saying, hey, man, if they decide to move off, Will Levis is the move in the draft, So I'm a huge believer. I'm a huge fan of Will Levis. I was a fan of Sam Howell last year. Everyone knows that. And Sam Howell looks like one of the few quarterbacks that's actually going to stick out of last year's draft class. And relative to value, where the Commanders got him to where the Steelers got Pickett, I got to say, man, Sam Howell looks like he's going to be a steal, man. And I hope Sam Howell continues to grow. I think Sam Howell's got a lot of talent. But that kid coming out next year at UNC, Drake May, him and Caleb Williams, next level stuff next year coming out, I tell you. So, anyways, enough quarterback talk. Let's get into it. Let's start off with Barry Jackson. And are the Dolphins actively trying to trade up? So, some advice to the Miami Dolphins about what not to do in this month's draft and why. And be prepared for Barry's take. If the Dolphins are tempted to take an offensive tackle at pick 51 when they're on the clock on the second night of this month's NFL draft, here's some advice. Please don't. Listen, Barry, love you. Really do. But when you got DeJuan Jones sitting there, potentially, if you got, what if Darnell Wright ain't slipping because of what he did on Twitter today, but if Darnell Wright somehow slips, I don't know, my friend. There are legitimate options here that I don't know if I can get on board with, Anton Harrison might be, because he goes in and says, I'm not sure about taking offensive lineman is a good idea at 84 either. Yes, the Dolphins need a right tackle to seriously challenge or beat out Austin Jackson, but the history overall, and particularly in this organization, is simply too much to ignore. So I'm going to read this history for all of you, but I want to preface this. Okay, we're going to get back into this, but let me preface this. This is why the history don't matter. Was Frank Smith here? Was Mike McDaniel here? These are guys who have track records. Last I checked, Trent Williams was the best player was arguably the best player in the NFL, not named Patrick Mahomes, under Mike McDaniel in his offense when he was at tackle. And everyone thought he was nothing but a reclamation project when the Niners traded for him on draft day. So, listen, you could go off history to an extent, but I've talked about this multiple times. If you guys remember, when McDaniel came into power last offseason as a head coach, what did he say? He literally talked about in one of his interviews how him and his staff walked into the scouting department and told them what to look for in linemen and running backs, what they like. So you can't go off that history right now. It's got to be refreshed a little bit because it's a different era now. We've got different film minds in there now. So I can't totally get on board with that because I believe Mike McDaniel and his staff on the offensive side of the football and on the defensive side of the football have particulars they're looking for that are changing what some of the scouting department now look for at said positions compared to previous years under previous regimes. All right, so I want to preface with what I'm going to say with that. So let's get into it. Drafting a guard or tackle in the second, third, or fourth round rarely ever works out for the Dolphins. Since Don Shula wisely picked future Pro Bowl guard Keith Sims with the 39th pick in the 1990 draft, the Dolphins have selected 17 guards or tackles in the second, third, or fourth rounds. Do you know how many of those 17 turned out to be very good players? 1. Current Dolphins right guard Robert Hunt, a second-round pick. Hey, and then that's under Greer's case. And the book on his career is far from complete. And even in his case, Hunt has done his best work at guard. It didn't become the solution at tackle that some envisioned. 3 others among the 17 turned out to be serviceable NFL starters. Todd Wade, John Jerry, and Billy Turner. A few others failed to come close to reaching expectations. Dallas Thomas, Michael Dieter, or have yet to do so, Liam Eichenberg. The rest of the list is filled with busts. Eddie Blake, Andrew Green, and Brent Smith in the 90s, Wade Smith, Taylor Whitley, Joe Toledo, and Sean Murphy in the first decade of the century, and Jonathan Martin, Jamil Douglas, Solomon Kinley this past decade. Yeah, but Solomon Kinley, come on, man. I mean, that was a late pick. For 3 decades, the Dolphins have had less success drafting offensive linemen after the first round than any other position except quarterback. So if the Dolphins not ready to give up on the idea of Jackson a starter, why take a chance at 51 on a position where the Dolphins have such a poor record of draft success? Why not instead sign a veteran or 2 to compete with Jackson, either by waiting to see who's released in the months ahead, maybe a Lyle Collins, or signing an available free agent, Brandon Shell, Cam Fleming, George Fant, or doing both? Shell remains unsigned after allowing just 2 sacks and 11 starts for the Dolphins last season. See, that's another reason. I mean, Shell allowed 2 sacks and 11 starts, and they're letting him sit pat. That should tell you they're eyeing tackle real at 51 hard in case. And keep in mind that all offensive linemen projected for the range of 45 to 60 have questions. Ohio State right tackle DeJuan Jones, linked to Miami 51, has athletic deficiencies and is unable to find his feet when attempting to make inside counters or stall out gaming fronts, according to Lance Zierlein. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna knock his feet. I mean, I guess he can overset or let guys come, across his face time to time. But I do admit the athletic deficiencies are for real. This guy's not moving like one of the top guys. Anton Harrison, mocked by McShay to Tampa at 50, lacks the pop and drive of a plus run blocker and is better at neutralizing opponents with proper positioning, Zerline said. There are some limitations athletically. NFL speed could have him scrambling without help. Listen. All right, let's because Lance Zierlein, remember it's NFL.com too. So, it's not like a renowned scouting site over here. Now, okay, so let me start with Anton Harrison, who's my tackle 6. Listen, I think his biggest area of cleanup is hand placement. I think he's actually one of the best movers in this class. He's got quick feet, explosive first steps. So I don't know if I really agree with Lance Zierlein on that. Now, with DeJuan, yeah, like I said, right? His problem does lie in his footwork. He crosses his feet. It can get sloppy at times, and I said he can stop them from churning and he can overset and pass pro, and that affects his balance. So that's something I talked about even in my evaluation of DeJuan Jones. But the talent is out of this world. So, I mean, Austin Jackson's got quick feet. What's that doing for him? So Anton Harrison, I don't know what Lance Zierlein's talking about because I do not believe. I think, one of my first points about Anton Harrison is one of the best movers in this class. Fluid hips, quick feet, explosive first step, gets into his kick slide with great lateral movement, which helps him mirror speed rushers. I mean, go watch what I said yesterday if you haven't checked out the tackle big board. So I don't agree with that. I think Anton Harrison is good. Steve Avila, oh man, he is a stud too. I got him as interior though. Like I think he can play guard or center. And I agree with McShay and Zierlein, who said he's, according here to Zierlein, it says best suited for guard center. I agree with that. So expect him to become a good starter at right tackle would be wishful thinking. Matthew Bergeron, mock 60th by McShay, better suited for guard. I don't agree with that. He's athletic enough to play tackle, but inconsistent anchor and hand placement could cause concern for evaluators. Bottom line, when you have such little draft capital, listen, I don't know what we're expecting here, Barry, because once you start to get in outside the top 50, even when you get it outside the top 25, when you get outside you think there's 25 first-round grades in this draft? So this is kind of cherry picking to me because I think you can make the same arguments about players outside of the top 25 in this draft. There aren't 25. I think I got like 21 or 20 first round grades, and I think Neil's right around the same. It's like 20 or 21 or 22, something like that. I got to go back and look. But all right, so and then the guys at the end of those grades, you got questions about them, or that's why they're not in the top 10. So, this is where a good scouting department comes into play, and hopefully, you really think when we got 4 picks, the good thing is our staff can focus a lot on watching tape. So let's get into this now. This and that. Agent Drew Rosenhaus, in his weekly WSVN Fox 7 segment on Sunday, suggested the Dolphins are more likely to trade to acquire more picks than to move up in the draft. He said the Dolphins would like to acquire more picks beyond what they have, a second rounder, third rounder, 6th and 7th. Besides offensive line and tight end, Rosen identified cornerback as another area the Dolphins would like to address in the draft. And that's something we've talked about here. Now, we talked about it's lower on the list behind, running back for us. I mean, we got tackle, guard, defensive tackle, and running back higher on that list. But it's something we've talked about, next year even, that, if X plays well and you can make it work with the money after this year, go use your first-round pick and draft his replacement. Another guy at 51 we've talked about who could potentially be there too. Me and Neil have talked about multiple times on Fin Too Deep is Keely Ringo out of Georgia, who we both really like. So, the fact that they want to acquire more picks just makes sense. I think if you can get a pick in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, you're gravy, along with the 6th and 7th. I think certain positions you can find starters, right? Like, I think if you can get an early 4th, you could get one of those tight ends, right? Like, if you could get a pick in the early 100s, I think you could target a Zach Kuntz, a Brenton Strange will probably still be there, potentially. And then at 84, take your 84 and 51, take a tackle on the defensive side and the offensive side. Or if a running back you like really falls to 51, you still got 2 more picks behind that to get a defensive tackle and a tight end, or a defensive tackle and offensive tackle, or an offensive tackle and a tight end. Do you see the flexibility, even though it's 1 more pick? So I think that is something they should actively be looking into 110%. Over 300 people in the chat right now. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Jimmy, there's talk about Ringo falling into the 2nd round. So I don't think Keely Ringo is going to be a top 10 pick. Christian Gonzalez from Oregon is going to go higher than him for sure. So I don't think Keely's locked in to be a top 10 pick by any stretch of the imagination. So, and then continuing, Dolphins new edge player Malik Reed hopes reuniting with Bradley Chubb could provide a boost. They played well together in Denver. It's amazing, Reed said. My time with Chubb on the field, off the field, something just always clicked, and it felt so natural. It's a testament to the type of guy Chubb is, and I feel like we're similar in how we think sometimes. I feel that flowed into us as teammates to where we could have a lot of success with each other. I called him once. It was in the workings of me coming there. He called me back once he heard the news. I didn't know I had to call you back. Congratulations. He was so excited, and I was excited too. I'm definitely excited to be back playing together again. Hey, man, we hoping it brings up the results you guys used to have too, because the team reaps the benefits, and it'll be a beautiful thing. So, man, but yeah, good stuff in that article to take away. Listen, I don't agree with letting the past history when this new regime. See, we haven't even had a full draft with this new regime yet. You have such a small sample size, you can't even make an overly educated guess on what they can do in the draft at offensive line yet. So I don't know if I agree with letting the past history of other regimes dictate the history of this new regime in charge that, quite frankly, has a track record of developing and finding damn good offensive tackle talent. So that's my take on it. Don't know if all of y'all agree, but that is my take on it. I just, I think that's not a good mentality to have, man. I don't see that being a good mentality to have. So, yeah, David, Darnell won't be there at 51. He will not be there at 51. I wish someone send him a gas mask and an ounce right now, and maybe we got a chance. Maybe we got 51 still. I mean, Tunsil didn't even get into the second round. We would need that man, to get a white Bronco and do some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? We need to see him on the news right now. So, I don't see it happening. But anyways, let's continue on. And this is something I want to talk about. So it kind of clicked on a light for me. This article I saw on Bleacher Report, and ranking the NFL's top dark horses to lead major offensive categories in 2023. So this came out yesterday, and it says the NFL is a star-driven league. Fans flock to stadiums and gather our watering holes to see Patrick Mahomes make magic throwing the ball, to watch Derrick Henry plow through defenders on his way to the end zone, to see Tyreek Hill pluck a long pass from the air. Because the NFL is also driven by offense, the rules have been slanting farther and farther towards it for years. The old saying may be that defense wins championship, but offense puts butts in the seats at stadiums and sports bars. There's no shortage of stars in today's NFL, whether it's Mahomes, Henry, Hill, Travis Kelce, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams. For each and every one of those players, big things are expected in 2023. But each and every year in the NFL also brings surprises. Sometimes it's a young player taking that final step from up-and-comer to star. Sometimes it's a veteran who comes from nowhere to post career-best numbers or recapture past glories. Every year there are dark horses who challenge to lead the NFL in some statistical categories. And in 2023, these players fit the bill. So, for most passing yards, they have, when it comes to leading the NFL in passing yards, chalk usually rules the day. In 2022, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs piled up 5,250 yards to lead the league. In 2021, it was Tom Brady of the Bucs who amassed 5,316. Still, the door could be open for some new blood to take a run at pacing the NFL through the air. 7 of the past 10 passing titles were won by Brady, Drew Brees, or Ben Roethlisberger. All 3 future Hall of Famers are now retired. Names like Mahomes, Herbert of the Chargers, and Burrow of the Bengals may dominate the conversation, but there are some other candidates who could be in contention as well. So number 3 is Tua Tagovailoa. And they have him. We saw last year what a healthy Tagovailoa can do at the helm of Miami's loaded passing attack. In week 2, he emulated the Baltimore Ravens for 469 passing yards and half a dozen passing scores. If the young southpaw can stay on the field, he's going to post big-time numbers. Then at 2, they got Dak. At number 1, they got Jared Goff. Now, for passing touchdowns, they have Lamar. They have Lamar at 3. And they have Russell at 2. And they have Trevor Lawrence at 1. Now, if you look it up here, Mahomes led in 2022, Brady in 2021, Rodgers in 2020, Lamar in 2019, and Mahomes in 2018. All right? So, why does that matter? The reason why that matters is when you look up here, right? Okay? Right? The last 2 years, the person who has led the NFL in passing yards has led the NFL in passing touchdowns. So they got Lamar, Russell, good luck, Trevor Lawrence as 3, 2, and 1. All right? And just for you guys who are wondering, no, Tyreek didn't make any receiving lists. Okay? FYI. So anyways, let's get back to this. Why does this matter? All right? Because the last 2 years, so they have him as a third dark horse. But you've got to have him as a dark horse for passing touchdowns as well. All right? Now you look at Tyreek and Waddle. They put up 15 passing touchdowns last year. All 15 came from Tyreek. Skylar and Teddy did not throw them one. All right? But I thought this offense was really easy to run, and the receivers make the quarterback, right? Well, tell that to Skylar and tell that to Teddy, because Mike White's about to take Skylar's job, right? Because he didn't do it enough. Anyways, I digress. The last 2 years, whoever's led the league in passing yards has led the league in passing touchdowns. So, if you got Tua as a dark horse in passing yards, you have to have him as a dark horse for passing touchdowns. So, let's do a little math, okay? So, in 2022, Tua Tagovailoa, all right, he averaged 272.9 yards per game. Over 17 games, that equals 4,639 yards. That would have been 4th in the NFL last year. All right? Now, check this out. Last year, he averaged 1.92 touchdown passes a game, which over 17 games equals 33 touchdowns, which would have been, you guessed it, 4th in the NFL last year. This isn't after being in the NFL for 5, 6, 7 years, even 4. This isn't after being in the same offense for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Why do I mention that? Because you usually see someone's ceiling or what they can peak at as a player in an offense during that period if they've been in an offense for 4, 5, 6 years, if they've been in the same offense. That was all year 1. The yards per game over a 17-game span in year 1 would have left him 4th in the NFL if he would have stayed healthy. His touchdown passes per game rate would have had him 4th in the NFL if he would have stayed healthy. And that's in year 1 of an offense, year 3 in the league. When the offense still needed tweaking from a play calling standpoint, from an offensive line standpoint. Just saying. Year 2 should see a natural progression in everyone in that offense, not just Tua, who was in that in year 1. And that'll make it even a more well-oiled machine, and thus, there's going to be even more production all around. We haven't seen this offense's ceiling yet. Let alone have we seen them consistently playing at the ceiling for a full season, which is very scary, because not consistently playing at that ceiling, Tyreek and Waddle combined for 3,000 yards. So what? They can go for 3,700 this year just between the two of them. They had 15 touchdown passes and Tua missed 6 games. What does that tell you? These guys would have easily passed 20 touchdowns combined if Tua would have played those 6 games. So we're looking at anywhere between 35 to 3,700 yards between Waddle and Tyreek potentially if they grow. Well, actually, let's bring it down. Let's go 3,200 to 3,700 yards potentially this year on growth. And we're looking going from 15 touchdowns last year, anywhere from like 18 to like 25. Just between the two of them. So yeah, Tua is a dark horse to be 5,000 yards. Listen, these guys combined for 3,500 yards between the two of them. I'm telling you right now, Braxton Berrios is going to have a career year. Between the three of them, Braxton, Waddle, and Hill, I could see 4,000, a little bit over 4,000 yards. 5,000 yards if Tua stays healthy is in reach. 38 plus touchdowns is in reach if Tua stays healthy. We might add Dalvin Cook by the trade deadline. And he's going to be catching touchdown passes out of the backfield. And he's going to be adding yardage to that backfield, even if he is only here after the trade deadline. I don't think people realize right now that we're heading into year 2 here. Tua is a legitimate dark horse to lead the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns when you actually start to break things down based on what he did in year 1 of this offense. Scary stuff for other NFL teams. Beautiful stuff for us. So, had to lay that out, man. We had to have a conversation about that, because I truly believe, just like, look at his MVP odds, what they're already at this year compared to what they were at this time last year. Last year I got him at like plus 7,000. This year, good luck. I think he's already under 2,000. So I'm just saying, Tua is going to shut up a lot of people if he stays healthy this year, and in a big way. A lot of tails are going to be tucked. Tyreek and Waddle are going to be better this year on this offense, just naturally. They're going to be more explosive. Braxton's going to be explosive, and I'm telling you, watch out. You guys know how much I love that signing, so I'm going to keep beating that till the horse is dead. But, man, and Eric, Easy-E. It feels like they've been slowly cooking him in the lab, and they're just ready to unleash him on NFL teams in the red zone this year. We saw what that kid flashed in that guy flashed some crazy. He made Skylar Thompson. He made those QB1 Skylar Thompson people believe that nonsense narrative. Easy-E made them believe that with some of the crazy catches that man made. Now, Skylar had some nice passes, but whew. And you got to believe, I keep saying, people are impatient with Easy-E, but you better not be, because Wes Welker came from Texas Tech. He knows, like I've been telling all of y'all, receivers who come from Texas Tech, they do not have developed route trees. And Welker's making sure he gets right. And they're going to unleash that kid, and I think he's going to be a red zone beast. Can't wait. All right. Let's continue on here. Interesting article from Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post, and what he said was, which Miami Dolphins games should be in prime time? We have a confession to make. As sports writers in our 40s and older, we're not huge fans of lots of Dolphins primetime games. There are deadlines, and, well, let's just say we generally prefer getting to stadium for a 1 p.m. kickoff than leaving the stadium after, say, 1 a.m. But there's something special about knowing the team you cover has a national stage. And, yes, as a fan, there's a measure of respect that comes with NFL-assigned primetime games. The Dolphins are one of the most intriguing teams in the NFL, and Miami has one of the most talented rosters. And yes, Miami is a legacy team in the NFL. The Dolphins draw more eyes than, let's say, the Jaguars, Carolina Panthers, Tennessee Titans, or Texans. You get the idea. it's also true that for years, Miami has flopped on national television. Last year was no exception, with the Dolphins losing December games at the Chargers and at Buffalo. But that Buffalo game, we shouldn't have lost, and the Buffalo game was a great game. So there's a bit of lack of trust for TV executives. That said, here are our top 5 games we would strongly consider for Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night. Nobody likes to play on Thursday night, but yes, at least everyone is watching. It would be a joke if at least 3 of these games are not in prime time, preferably 4. Dolphins versus Jets, home or away. With Aaron Rodgers, the Jets are favored to finish ahead of the Dolphins in the AFC East. With Aaron Rodgers and a healthy Tagovailoa, Jets for Dolphins should be epic again. Dolphins versus Chiefs. Tua versus Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill versus former team. Tyreek has promised to throw up a peace sign after scoring in this one. His former teammate Chris Jones objected on social media. Let's get it on. Dolphins at Chargers. Tua versus Justin Herbert. This is a debate that will linger until both players are retired. Let's hope that's in 10 or more years. Can former Chargers DC Ronaldo Hill help shut down Herbert? Dolphins versus Cowboys. Leon Lett, Jimmy Johnson. Okay. It's the Cowboys. It's the Dolphins. There would seem to be chances every chance in the world this game gets national TV eyes. Dolphins for Bills, home and away. Tua versus Josh Allen. There may be some skepticism about Miami's ability to hang in with Buffalo based on recent history because Miami has dropped 11 of 12 at Buffalo, and maybe it's a South Florida kick is best. All right, here's my opinion. All right, I'm going to give you, I want everyone in the comments right now, give me your top 3 primetime games for Miami in order. And if you are watching after this video is up, post it in the comments right now what your top 3 primetime games. Okay, number 1 for me, I want either Thursday Night Football in Week 1 or Monday Night Football in Week 1 against the Chiefs. Give it to me, baby. All right, I want Aaron Rodgers. I want him in listen, I only want one division rival in primetime here. Give me Aaron Rodgers or give me Josh Allen. I want to whip I'd preferably whip both those asses in primetime, but one division rival, I'll whip either one in primetime, okay? The other one for me, give me Chargers and Dolphins in primetime again. Now, the reason why I'm not saying the Cowboys, hey, if you want, actually, you know what? Flip that. Because let's technically consider this prime time. Get rid of the Chargers. I want the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. I haven't been able to watch us play on Thanksgiving Day since, Joey Harrington was our quarterback? When we played the Lions? Was that the last time we played on Thanksgiving Day? Was when Joey Harrington was our quarterback when we played the Lions? Someone let me know. But I want Thanksgiving. I want 2 things I want. I want Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and I want either Thursday night primetime or Monday night primetime Week 1 against the Chiefs. And then if you want to give me the Jets and the Bills on 2 different primetime dates, cool, but I want one of those teams or both of those teams. So those would be my picks. All right? The Chiefs, Week 1 primetime, give me the Jets or the Bills, and then give me the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Do we host the Cowboys, though? So I don't know if we will. It's got to be in Dallas, doesn't it? I think it's got to be in Dallas. Do the Cowboys, do their Thanksgiving games have to be in Dallas? Because I know they're in Miami. Let me know. That's what I want to know. Someone look it up right now. Have the Cowboys ever been on a Thanksgiving Day game on the road? Shout out tonight. Chiefs banner game. Eagles and Bills. Hey, you want the Eagles? Hey, I'd be down for the Eagles in prime. That'd be fun. There you go. Dallas always at home on Turkey Day. Okay, so take them off the list. Take them off the list. Man, I want a Thanksgiving game so bad. So bad. Week. That'd be exciting. That'd be a good game. That'd be a good game on Thanksgiving. Eat some turkey and watch some Cowboys. Love it. Love it. All right, let's look. Barry Jackson dropped an article a couple days ago basically going over who some of the big names have the Dolphins taking in the draft. So I'll look at what several mock drafts project for the Dolphins with picks 51 and 84. They're only selections before the 6th round. Pro Football Focus has the Dolphins picking Jahmyr Gibbs at 51. I mean, I would love it. All day, I would love that. I would love that. That's huge, but I don't think he's going to be there. I do not think he's going to be there. PFF then has Dolphins selecting Houston receiver Tank Dell at 84. I'm a fan of Tank Dell, actually, but I do not think they're taking a receiver at 84. So that's all I'll say about that. ESPN Todd McShay has the Dolphins selecting DeJuan Jones at 50. I think that's a candidate at 51. I really do. McShay has the Dolphins bypassing Steve Avila, Zach Charbonnet, Brenton Strange. So Sam Laporta, Tyreek Stevenson, wide receiver Josh Downs, Trenton Simpson, Riley Moss, Matthew Bergeron, and listen, I don't know if I don't think I'd take, man, that's a tough one. DeJuan Jones or Sam Laporta. Whew, I'd have to go Sam Laporta. I'm sorry. I'd have to go Sam Laporta. I would have to go Sam Laporta, man. McShay has DJ Turner, John Michael Schmitz, Jack Campbell, Cam Smith, and Anton Harrison going before 51. Jordan Reed has the Dolphins taking Gibbs at 51. Huh. Yeah, I mean, people are really believing Gibbs is going to be there at 51, eh? I just don't see it. And then he has us taking Schoonmaker with the 84th pick. It says 81 here, but I believe he meant 84. So, yeah. I mean, I like Luke Schoonmaker at 84. If you got Gibbs at 51 and Schoonmaker at 84, I actually wouldn't be mad at that at all. WalterFootball.com has a Villa at 51. I like that. Chad Reuter of NFL.com has 51. Laporta. And hey, you ain't going to hear anything mad from me. Luke Musgrave at 51 for Athletic Sports. I'd have to see who's available. So, man, what I'd take away from this is people think Laporta and Gibbs are going to be on the board at 51. Oh, that is very interesting for me. Laporta and Gibbs on the board at 51. I'd have to go Gibbs. Right? I'd have to go Gibbs. But remember, Laporta is my third tight end. Gibbs is my second running back. And then Gibbs adds such a dynamic level. And you don't have to trade for Dalvin Cook. But, man, that is tough. And then if DeJuan Jones is on the board too, my fifth tackle. And one of the top right tackles in this class, that's a tough one, man. That turns into a tough one. That turns into a real tough one. Man, that's why they get paid the big bucks. Now, for all those who said Skylar Thompson was QB1, check out this chart. Here's each team's EPA and play split by quarterback. By each team, you can see the team at the bottom. Look at Skylar Thompson. The worst EPA per play in the NFL, let alone on the Dolphins. And people tried to convince all of y'all. Look where Tua is. Tua's number 2. Number 2 in the NFL, ahead of Josh Allen, only behind Mahomes. And really, the only reason he fell behind Mahomes was because the concussion game against Green Bay and then his struggles against the Chargers and the Niners. Other than that, before the Niners game, his EPA was higher than Mahomes. So, I mean, look at this. People really tried to convince all of y'all Skylar Thompson QB1. Crazy. Absolutely lunacy. Absolute lunacy. Tua continued the efficiency. Man, Tua going to have that Brady level efficiency, I think. It's going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. And finally, we got to talk about this year. I haven't watched them. I'm going to watch them tonight when the kids are asleep. According to ML Football, with the NFL draft just 17 days away, things appear to be heating up for Arizona State University. Xavier Valladay, the Miami Dolphins have scheduled an interview with Valladay this week, source says. After leading the Pac-12 in touchdowns and posting 1,200 yards on the ground, Valladay also had a 40-inch vertical and posted 22 reps on the bench at 204 pounds, also running a 4.4 40-yard dash at his pro day. His agent, Jamal Tucson, has spoken with multiple teams following the pro day, and Tucson states the feedback is unanimous. Xavier checked every box during his workout. The NFL comp general managers and teams have given Valladay his Tampa Bay Buccaneers star Rachaad White. Sources speculate the star could land as early as the 4th round after a strong pro day because he was not at the combine, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to look into him tonight. So if you follow me on Twitter, expect some clips are probably going to come up today. Tomorrow in the morning, I'll probably put some clips together and give my thoughts on him. But yeah, there is another name, and you add in with the name that I've heard they're high. Another name I've heard they're really interested in, Jaleel McLaughlin, and you know it's looking maybe the UDFA route for running backs is what they're eyeing again. Now remember, Rachaad White was my draft crush last year, and that's who they tried to draft, but he was taken by the Bucs, and McDaniel even spoke about how they were surprised that the guy they were eyeing was taken, and they were talking about Rachaad White. So very interesting that they're going back to the same school of a player they really liked last year. So Xavier Valladay, I'll be looking into him tonight and watching him tonight, and I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on him on Twitter tomorrow. So be out on the lookout for that because I got all the Arizona State film, so we're good on that. So just another name for you guys to go check out. Again, if you're a Patreon, go check out the video I dropped today around lunchtime. I gave you I recapped the 3 names that I had heard over the last 2.5 weeks, and then added 2 more names I've heard over the last couple of days in terms of defensive tackles the Miami Dolphins are very high on. I named those in my video on Patreon today, patreon.com/Phinside The NFL. So go check it out. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. I will see y'all on the next one. Wednesday, the finish line with me, Ball Game in Richmond. Thursday, Fin Too Deep with me and Neil. And then we'll be dropping the linebacker big board this week and shows in between. So be out on the lookout. As always, I appreciate all of you, over 320 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Happy Easter, everyone. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see all of y'all on the next one. Until then, have a fantastic evening. Fins up, baby.